loved ones this time, and just pray that you be with them. You tell us that you're near the brokenhearted, and that you comfort and strengthen, and we pray for that for them, and we just thank you for all the things that we have to be thankful for. This community, the people in it, the people in this room, every home, every child, every man, every woman, every job, every business, everything that we have to be thankful for. Help us to set our sights on you in this coming year, and to set our sights on everything we have to be thankful for, and not our lack, but our abundance, and how we can grow from there. We give you all the praise and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Amy, if you would, roll call.
Gary Elliott.
Here.
Bob Leahy.
Here.
Jason Berger.
Here.
Tim Heiss.
Here.
Tito Frias.
Here.
All right, assume you've had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. Are there any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first and we have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, consent agenda approved as presented. We have no presenters, but department reports. I want to give a special shout out and thanks to all those who helped make the downtown shopping day on Saturday a possibility. And from what I saw, a success. I don't know if anybody heard otherwise, but everything I observed to the naked eye was wonderful. Busy, yeah. So that was good. Yeah, so there's so many hands that play a role in something like that. So we just thank them big time. I know Star Jacobson and Susan Linder in particular, I saw them. I know they spent a lot of time and effort in helping make that possible. So really, 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 really thank them and appreciate them. And appreciate everybody turned out just to browse or purchase. It makes a difference. Well, there she is. I was just thinking you, so thank you for Saturday. I told them I don't know what all has been said from my vantage point. It looked like a success. It looked like he did just a fantastic job. Also want to give thanks to everybody's been helping with Community Christmas, and Friday is the big day. The parade starts at 5:30, and we'll go through town as usual and out to the park, and the lights will commence at 6 o'clock out at Harder Park, and then be lit every evening through New Year's Eve as every year. And then Community Thanksgiving dinner is tomorrow evening. And that's a big thing. That's an amazing thing. We're anywhere from 750 to 1,000 folks cram into one gym and have food and fellowship, and thanks to a lot of helping hands. And it's pretty awesome too, because it's a free meal. So so much to be thankful for. So Amy, anything to report?
Just that the saga continues with the audit.
Yeah.
I did have a phone call from the auditors again last week and requesting more information.
Okay.
And it sounds like, I don't know when, but it sounds like there will probably be reps from State Board of Account and from Pro, the external auditor,
Okay.
coming in at some point. And they really haven't told me when.
Gotcha.
that will happen.
Gotcha. And just for public consumption, these are every 2 years.
This
I think
is, yeah, it was federal and state. It was for 22 and 23. They
Mhm.
finished up the federal audit, but we're still finishing up the
The
state
state
audit.
audit, correct. Very good. Well, thank you. Council members, Tito, we'll start with you.
I have nothing this time.
Tim?
Just one thing that came up at Board of Works today, reported from wastewater treatment superintendent that they ran into a issue on a sewer blockage in one neighborhood recently, and had one of the things they found in the manhole area, and I can't remember where he said specifically, but a pretty good mountain of wipes.
Oh.
And just kind of wanted to remind the public, we've talked about this before, but any kind of wipes, baby wipes, flushable wipes, any of those things, they say they're flushable, but that doesn't mean they break down and process or anything, are really, really, really detrimental and damaging to our system. And one of the things Rob said is that pile can get washed by a big rush of water and then just instantly plug something up. And so everybody needs to kind of be aware of that regardless of whether they say they're flushable or not, they are damaging to the system. and your ability to flush your own stool may depend on that.
Yep.
And so I'd love for everybody to help us out to try to eliminate that, pass that along to friends and neighbors as you have discussions. I know that's not exactly a great topic to discuss, but
Probably wouldn't hurt to put them maybe on the water bill.
and I think we need to. I was thinking about that,
Yeah.
and I also thought, well, a lot of people just barely look at their water
Right,
bill,
that's true.
and so
Maybe on our
some people
website.
look at it religiously
Sure.
and will catch it. Some people will watch the council meetings and will catch it. So any way we can make people aware,
Or our phone app.
yeah,
our new
just
phone
to avoid that, because it can really cause some problems. And I just like the community to help out a little bit with that.
That's a huge call.
That's it.
No, thank you. Jason?
We had our area planning meeting last Wednesday. That's on the agenda tonight regarding the zoning recommendation for the event center plan. So that's all I have.
No, thank you. Bob?
Just to touch bases again on what I mentioned last time, Pollution Solutions will be open again on Saturday, December 14th from 8 to noon. And that will be the last time this year.
This year,
So
okay.
normally they close in October, but then they stayed open for, I think it was the 16th of November on a Saturday, and then the 14th of December on a Saturday, and then it'll be next year before they're open again.
Okay.
That's all I got?
No, that's a good heads up. So December 14th.
Yes. 8 to noon. 8 to noon.
I'm sorry, I know I've asked this before, but for the public, where is Pollution Solutions?
State Route 32 west as you're heading into Winchester.
Yep.
And if you go by the drive-in, and I believe there's a housing development and a church possibly on the left-hand side, and just beyond the church, it's kind of like you can see like a reclamation yard. Burton's scrap yards there, and Pollution Solutions is in the front. It's just right
It's on
there.
the right as you go
On the
into
left.
Winchester. On the left,
as
I'm
you're
sorry.
going
Okay,
toward
South
Winchester.
side of the road, yeah.
Just
South
past the
side.
drive-in a little bit.
Okay.
Super. Thank you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Gary, anything?
A couple things. First, I'd like to say I thank Amy for these little agenda item summaries that are in here with the little extra notes.
Yeah.
I really like
Yeah, I
that.
do too.
So thank you for putting those in there. And then I'm going to sort of hand this down. I don't know if NDOT's going to be here since they're not here yet, but this is my list of complaints based on their thing that was in our packet. If you want to pass that down, if you would. So I was just going to like gripe about all this stuff, but I don't know if they're going to be here. So not like we probably have much say, but
I was going to say,
it won't be good. But
it would be a stretch for them to be here. That's for sure.
so anyhow, so these are just things that I kind of listed that I think that should be brought up based on their own presentation that was in our packet.
Right.
So that's all I have.
No, I appreciate those.
Thank you.
All right. No old business, so new business on tap, the RQAW amendment for the ban. You guys should have, hopefully, Steve, did you have anything you want to add to this before? Okay, cool. You guys have any questions or any comments? Amy, did you have anything that you wanted to suggest?
Not really. I mean, I think they're just trying to stay, as much in the open as possible. So they were anticipating it would take an additional funding to do that. And this is, again, under the ban. But I think they're just trying to be transparent as far as any charges that they're going to have with their surveys and their services. I mean, I don't have a lot more information besides what they presented to us.
Okay.
I have some questions.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm wondering why it's needed. I mean, they're doing all this study and all of a sudden they want to do a topographical study. So how important is it for us to know where there are hills? I don't know, I mean, that's kind of how I read topographical. Where the hills and where the little dips slopes and so forth. Why is that important that we have to spend so much money?
It's basically identifying the best route of travel for the 20-inch water main. We have about 3 different options that we have identified that are good possibilities, and one of them they don't think is a good option because it requires an NDOT to sign off on a permit, and they said that that will slow the project down, which is something that we can't really endure. The other one is dealing with additional purchases of right-of-way, which is something that we would like to not have to go through. So we're just vetting out the most realistic path of travel to run the 20-inch water main.
And it seems like part of it also, and I don't have it here with me, I thought we would have a copy, but part of it was the topographical part. The other part was property limits and so forth. Why is there such a huge expense on that when we can just go down to the county and figure out where the properties end and start and so forth?
You're referring to the additional survey?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the survey costs, are what they are. I think the challenge there is, we found this out from this housing development ordeal. It has been an absolute nightmare if you don't have everything, if you don't know where all the exact boundaries are, because it will absolutely put a monkey wrench in the process at the 11th hour, because we've absolutely seen that. In fact, we're going to be asking you guys to be dedicating streets tonight, because we thought we were done when we got the plats, the old plat vacated, and then we found out, no, we've got to make sure these streets are dedicated before any property, because we have 2 properties ready to be sold and built, and they can't happen. We literally got word from Meeks Cockrell and the title company over there that they will not approve anything commencing until this is completely done, which includes the vacation of the plats and the street dedication. So I say that to say this: I do know that you've got to have every I dotted and every T crossed when it comes to boundaries, both perceived boundaries and existing boundaries.
And to add to that a little bit, I'd say that with being a partially state-funded, potentially federally funded, depending on the path of the funds, but funds funneling through the state, that they need to, the funding sources need assurance that all the properties are secured and owned, and that there aren't going to be any suits to make a claim against this that will throw off the financials of the whole project.
Or right-of-ways.
Right-of-ways. And
or
so
proximity to
especially every time we get into one of these with funding sources outside of our own, the extra due diligence is always, it's put upon you to do the extra due diligence to assure them, because they need these assurances, and guess who gets to pay for it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unfortunately.
And so these expenses are all going to be covered by the ban.
Correct. So basically, RQAW is looking for approval from council, or is it pretty much just to keep them in the know?
Well, this is just to keep the council in the know, and again, to get the blessing of everyone, because it is a massive project, so.
Correct. With that being said, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move we accept the RQAW amendment for ban as presented.
We have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Amy, if you would, roll call vote, please.
Gary Elliott,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Burr,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 24-11, which is the elected official salary ordinance. This is in first reading. No change to the mayor's salary. No change to council. I don't recall if there's any, no change in clerk treasurer either?
No.
So just the judge is the only increase. So, and if you recall, she has taken on a substantially larger workload, a caseload.
Around the county.
So, correct. So her salary request of $35,000 is absolutely in line with her responsibilities and everything that's entailed. Do we have any questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion on first approval, first reading.
I'll make a motion. We accept ordinance 2024-11, the elected official salary ordinance, first reading.
By title only, so we have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Amy, if you would, roll call vote.
Gary Elliott,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Burr.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay, now the next item is a matter of process. It's new, and Amy and I have found out that this is new to everyone across the state in terms of how everybody's been trying to interpret it, and that is a adopted redevelopment annual spending plan for 2025. The redevelopment commission is to issue what they basically would amount to a budget, if you will, an anticipated spending plan to the state. All redevelopment commissions or authorities across the state are to do this now. It's brand new. The only thing is with us is redevelopment doesn't really have any money to spend. Any money that redevelopment spends has to be appropriated by council. So that's why this is a procedural process, because redevelopment doesn't have the authority to spend money without council. But we still have to kind of at least state what we would potentially be spending money on as a redevelopment commission, which, you know, could in terms like you guys discussed about property out there adjoining the property we already own on the south end or north end of town. If we had gone forward with that, you guys had approved amount up to, but the deal never happened. But that money would have then in turn went through the redevelopment commission. So the redevelopment commission shows as the purchaser of the property, but the council has to be the one to appropriate the funds.
Question. So there are a few. What's the word in English? There are a few montantes. There are a few bits of funding in here, amounts of money in here that are so like some for grants, some for professional expenses, and then there's a total that's more than the sum of. So I guess I'm wondering, is this already budgeted in the budget that we have for next year?
Well, it is and it isn't.
Can I step in there?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
So there's one. I don't have it right in front of me, but
So
go ahead.
the 195,000 is already in the 2025 budget. There's probably a lot more listed here than
What we would actually do.
what we would actually have.
Mhm.
But everybody in the state was struggling because the state really didn't have any guidance yet, because it's just such a new form, and they said, okay, we're gonna do a form, but they didn't tell us how to do it. So this is kind of a compiled, conglomeration from what different people came up with. So, and some of the guidance came from Tom Pittman.
Our attorney
Yeah,
for
and
Baker, for Barnes and Thornburg, I should say.
so he had some of the wording in here towards the end. So I did include it, and this is probably going to change next year, because I'm sure once they get this first one done, then they're gonna realize, oh, okay, well, we really want this. So this is a one-time thing. The 195 is in the 2025 budget that's already been approved.
Okay. And so presumably, since it labels it as a total, the other two amounts that I see, everything with a bunch of zeros, right?
There
But-
are a bunch of zeros,
The-
because a lot of these things don't even apply to our city.
Okay.
So,
We don't have a military base.
So I like the grants, or it sounds great to me. $40,000 for grants or loans to provide financial assistance to neighborhood development corporations to permit them to provide financial assistance for the purposes described in the paragraph above, blah, 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 for construct, rehabilitate, or repair commercial property.
That's
And-
probably the facade stuff, isn't it? Is that the facade thing? Is that money to get?
That's pretty much why I threw that amount in there on that line. Like I said, we were winging this
Oh.
at the final hour.
But again, that figure is approved by council.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But it's not necessarily administered by the
Redevelopment
redevelopment committee.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
Strike the 40,000.
but anyway, just kidding.
yeah. But I mean, it's just one of these that we were struggling to try to figure out what the state wanted for this one.
So does the
Okay.
total have to equal the, because you got 60, we got 60 actually under something, we got one that's got a blank. that
We have a
doesn't-
lot that are blanks.
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of zeros, but then C.
Yeah,
has
and that's
G.
probably, I mean, wording wise, you're correct. I mean, the totals just don't match. The bottom line, the 195 is what we've got in the budget, but
So we don't have to show in this document.
at least not this year.
No, real,
Like I said,
again, and I'm not trying to downplay this, but we're gonna be killing an ant with a hammer, spending a lot of time on this, because it's a moot point, considering council has the purse strings, and then the fact that the form is so new, everybody's taking a stab in the dark on what they're submitting.
It's basically a work in progress.
It is,
Yeah.
big time,
Yeah.
big time.
And but in the budget that we've already approved for next year, we do have 195,000 for this,
Correct.
and we have 40,000
$40,000.
in addition.
Well, 40,000, I believe, is still. You may be right. I mean,
Additionally, for the what do you call those?
Facade grant.
I really would
Yeah,
have
for the
to-
facade grants. I mean, I
Yeah,
didn't want
you
it
might
to be.
right on that.
Okay.
So.
So do we need to do anything?
We just need to approve it.
Well.
Approve it.
Well, or doesn't even ask for an
Actually,
approval.
It doesn't.
Yeah, because it's commit redevelopment.
It's pretty much, it's just being presented to you
Yeah.
as far as,
Yeah, because it's actually redevelopment's
Just FYI.
plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys would approve it.
it's a
But
big FYI.
Just FYI,
Yeah.
I guess. That-
Yeah.
We would have to approve if it's funding. If it's
yeah,
funding.
you've got to approve the funding.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And it's still not changing the funding commitment,
No.
to change the budget.
no, exactly.
Okay.
So it's not worth too much more than the print that's
So
on the
good.
paper.
We acknowledge receipt.
Yeah.
So then on to the next headache. Oh, I'm sorry. The resolution to dedicate the streets for the Governor Gray edition. This is again a new process for us. Steve found out this afternoon that the parcel numbers have already been issued for these streets, correct, by the county.
Yeah.
Correct, I have them in my binder right here.
So we just need to, what's called term, dedicate these streets, because it's a new development and the streets should be under the purview of the city, under the control of the city. So in this process, we need to, the term is actually dedicate the streets to the city of Union City. They've actually been owned and being paid taxes on by the developer. And so, but the catch is, that sounds great. It's like, great, let's have everybody pay taxes for our streets and not have to have us take care. But the bad thing is you can't sell any properties because it's considered landlocked. And so you can't technically sell a property in that development, which is what we have waiting
Oh,
to happen,
man.
without dedicating the streets. So,
So what you mean by dedication is that that the street, the land that the street is built on and the street built on it becomes the city's
Correct.
instead of the developers.
correct.
We have known from day one that this process was going to have to take place. It's been explained to us from the start that it didn't need to take place until the houses were built and properties were starting to sell. Now in the 11th hour, with the most recent vacation and all the hoops that we've had to jump through, the county wants it done now so they can put this thing finally to bed and quit messing with it.
So we didn't receive the dedication form, the resolution, from our attorney yet because the vacation of the plats just took place Wednesday. We communicated all this information to our attorney on Thursday, and then our attorney on Friday requested the survey information of the streets. And at the 11th hour, I called him and left a message, in fact, again at 5:05 or 5:10, saying, hey, and I got his voicemail, because we're not the only thing on his docket. So, what I'm asking council, because it's not expenditure of funds, I'm asking council for approval of the dedication of the streets, and if there's any, and I don't know what this form looks like, it's a resolution, so I imagine I would have to sign it. So I'm asking for approval of the dedication of the streets and assigning authority for the dedication of the streets on the resolution. That's why I'm asking for council's approval. So that way, once the resolution is given to us, Amy will send it to you guys, send it to me, sign it, and then they're dedicated officially.
Does that alleviate the issue? Was there two plots that there was an issue with that?
That was the vacation, yeah.
Okay, so that's taken care of.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so is this a similar situation that they found, in the last year or two, down by one of the apartments?
Correct.
That the city doesn't own the streets?
That's correct. That's the same thing on
So-
South High Street.
So that was something that hadn't been taken care of then, and had they found this, and done this process, we would have eliminated that problem?
That's correct.
One would hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is this just an approval or a motion?
Well, it takes a motion to approve. I mean, I guess we could do consensus, but I feel more comfortable with the motion process. But
I'm
it's
not sure how to word it, but, because that was a long sentence you said. So.
yeah. Well, basically, I would just go with
Just
what
read what's on
the motion to adopt a resolution to dedicate the streets for the Governor Gray edition, granting the mayor signing authority upon form completion.
Yeah, I moved that. Okay, I move resolution to dedicate the streets to the Governor Gray edition and giving the mayor approval to sign said resolution when it comes in.
Correct. We have a first.
I'll second.
Yep.
I'd like to ask a question before.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
please. No,
I'm sorry
go
to interrupt. Is that going to affect somehow whatever contractual obligations the city has with the developer?
In terms of the streets?
Because you said that was part of my understanding was that all of that was his. Or
Well, to develop, but and in what way? What do you mean? In what way would it affect?
well, I mean, I don't know. I understood just from comments you made a few moments ago that that whole area was sort of the developer, and to dedicate it to the city means that
We control the streets.
means that we will assume control of the streets.
Correct.
But up to now, who has control of the streets is the developer.
It's owned by him, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
So is there some kind of contractual relationship with him owning that? Are we legally allowed? I guess we're not violating any contract, are we, by dedicating the streets to the city?
Correct, because the contract was for him to develop homes.
He wants this to happen 17 days ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, fair question, but yeah, no, we're not. We would actually be shooting all ourselves in the foot if we went dedicate the streets.
I will second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Amy, if you would, roll call vote.
Gary Elliott,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Freeze.
Yes.
Okay, now ordinance number 2024-12. This is the zoning recommendation from area planning regarding the event center. So Jason, this was subject matter in the meeting you recently attended, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any comments, thoughts from, and Steve, you were in attendance at that meeting as well, so any comments or thoughts from either one of you or from the remaining council?
It received a favorable recommendation from the APC, and there was nobody in attendance that was opposed to it.
There was an email that was opposed. I sort of looked at the map and wondered their concern, their biggest, I guess, concern, and there were a few, but the biggest one was that they like to use four-wheelers and that they wouldn't want to interrupt any event happening there while they're using their four-wheelers, and that they wouldn't want anything happening at the event center to interrupt their ability to benefit from that. But where are they riding their four-wheelers?
It has to
On
be
Moats?
it has to be on Moats Farm.
Yeah, it's a big farm there. It's
Or
just-
even Delia's
Yeah,
land.
or on Dahlia's property, yeah.
So
Yeah,
they just
I was
need to-
thinking the same thing. That when I looked at the map, it's like, well, they have a land lot thing about the size of mine. I can't ride a four-wheeler on my property. It'd be awful short ride, back and forth up my.
Circles?
As long as there's no crops out there, I mean, they got
Yeah.
unlimited space to
Yeah.
to ride on. But
And I think considering this is a indoor, enclosed facility
Yeah.
where, as a general rule, it should be, the music is indoors, the activities are indoors. New modern building, I don't think there's gonna be a disturbance issue. Quite frankly, if you're gonna have a disturbance issue, the complaints are gonna come from the Maple Leaf Apartments, if anything, because it's directly next door. So I mean, I don't minimize people's concerns, but I think that the positives outweigh any potential negatives at all. And I think, quite frankly, anywhere you locate something like this, it's unless you find someplace out in the middle of nowhere, you always have the potential of affecting somebody in the public, and you deal with that with ordinance and so forth, and enforcement. And I don't think you're going to have any problem with that in terms of, I think that Delia's business, she's always been very responsible and taking care of any issues anytime and so forth. So I think we've got somebody with a good track record in that regard. So
Very
it
responsive.
doesn't concern me.
Yeah.
just for reference, the one in Winchester, out by the old county barn, is like across the street from the houses on the golf course.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
And I have no idea if they've had any issues, but it's basically that's in the same proximity of housing that that Delia's is going to be.
I don't
Good
know
point.
that there were any big concerns about that when that was happening. But
Any other thoughts or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve ordinance 2024-12 to amend the zoning map of Union City, in the County of Randolph, State of Indiana, by first reading, title only.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Amy, if you would, roll call. Vote.
I do have one comment before I do the roll call.
Yes.
This is the same scenario as the one Maura stated, we only need one, because
One
this
reading.
is kind of a follow-up to a recommendation from.
That's a good.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Good reminder.
The
Good
January
reminder.
one reading.
Yeah.
Because it's already been approved by another body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I move to approve.
End of story.
It's the first reading. It's just the only first.
And the only
Who was
reading.
the second?
Okay, I'll do the
I
roll
still
call.
second it.
Gary Elliott.
Yes.
Bob Langate.
Yes.
Jason Burr.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Keto Prius.
Yes.
All right. Now the next item was the ambulance loan rate approval. As mentioned in the news from Amy, good insight, if the rate is approved, Hazel Hinesley is hoping to present the loan proposal to the loan committee on Thursday, November 27th.
No,
That's-
Wednesday.
I was gonna say, that's Thanksgiving.
Typically, normally, they go to loan approval on Thursdays. It's going to be
Okay,
on
oh, I
Wednesday.
see, okay.
So it is Wednesday.
Wednesday the 27th, the date's right, just, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Wednesday the 27th.
Question, is that an interest rate throughout the thing, or is it like flexible, like if the Fed lowers the interest rate, are they gonna,
Is it fixed or,
yeah,
Fixed or
uh,
No, Pretty sure this
Variable.
is a fixed
I would
rate.
assume
Yeah.
it's fixed.
It looks like it didn't specify that.
Didn't
All
specify.
of our
Usually
other loans
it's-
have always been fixed.
As I say, I don't know if the vehicle's in variable rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
First
What to
Financial,
us?
yeah, and for reference, I didn't include it in there, but First Financial, had quoted 6.21%.
But what's
You said First Financial had?
First
Yeah.
Financial's quote was 6.21.
Is that what's
Okay.
written here?
And this was, no, she said she didn't put it in there, but yeah.
What's this one?
And
I
this
saw
one
five
is
something.
5.91.
Okay.
Citizens.
And Citizens.
Yeah, 5.9.
Yeah.
How long is it gonna take to pay this? 3 years? Can they do it in 3
Eric
years?
was asking for a 5-year loan, but he was hoping to pay it, I believe he
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
within 3 years.
Yeah, he's had plans to try to pay it in 3 years, but went to a 5-year just to, so that you're, so
Flexibility.
that we have
Right.
flexibility.
You'd save a good chunk of money there.
We're dependent on ambulance non-reverting funds being, performing at the
And then there's
consistent levels.
380.
That can always.
I missed a couple.
Because we'd save a good chunk of money just on interest.
Should be, yeah, should be good, but.
Do we need a motion for this one?
As you say, any of your
Yeah.
thoughts or approvals, if not, that's just,
I say, I think that rate's
Proving-
as reasonable as you're gonna see in this day
Yeah.
and age.
correct.
Certainly, and
Plus, we like to keep the business here.
And it's local.
Correct.
Yep, local.
so, I'll move we approve the ambulance loan rates as presented for the purchase of the, 2025 F-450 ambulance,
I'll second.
24, 25.
Yeah, 2024, I think.
I'll
We
second.
have a first and second. Amy, if you would roll call vote.
Gary Elliott,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
All right, then NDOT. Steve, if you don't mind, I'll turn this over to you.
Yeah, so I am the NDOT presentation on the 14th of November. The new traffic engineer from NDOT, along with his posse, came into a meeting with Public Safety Director Ader and Brad and myself. Basically, in what they're advising us, and Mayor Spence and I have heard this conversation already before. What they're advising us is in 2027, our traffic signals at Oak Street and Pearl Street are designated for being updated in the 2027 NDOT budget. That cost right now is projected at about $500,000. It'll probably go up. Plus, with the new regulations, they have to be synced with the railroad crossing. So, NDOT is proposing that for a 6-month trial period, based on traffic count numbers that they've done over the last 2 years, in the spring and in the fall, we don't get anywhere near the traffic flow to justify a traffic light. So, and we have 2. So they're proposing that for 6 months, we change our intersections to 4-way stops, and see what that does to our traffic, see if it improves, see if it changes any, see what happens. It's not a black and white, drop dead, traffic lights are gone, but they're trying to be mindful of their budgets as well, and they're identifying this. Since our traffic counts are around 4,600 on average, and they need 10,000 to justify them, they see this as a good place to potentially save some money on the budget.
The 500,000 is there, but their tab.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. The other thing, what he did describe with our railroad situation being so close to Pearl, when those sensors indicate a train and the crossing gates start flashing, everything goes to red. So if we keep our traffic lights after 2027, we're going to have traffic backed all the way up through Columbia Street, not being able to move because we're waiting
For
on average,
5 or 10 minutes.
3 transit every hour.
Yeah.
So that's something also to keep in mind, that they have to sync the traffic signals to the railroad crossing.
Do those go to red, or do they go to a four-way situation?
They would go to red.
I don't understand why they wouldn't go to a four-way.
Yeah.
I got nothing. Now,
Because that
in
wouldn't be any different than putting stop signs up.
Correct.
That's true.
So in that conversation, we did negotiate oversized flashing solar-powered stop signs at state line. That has also been brought up.
Yeah.
And they're, even though he's not happy about it, he's willing to discuss changing the speed limit in the downtown corridor from the railroad crossing to Division Street to 20 mile an hour instead of 30. So we would be slowing vehicles down, and we would have four-way stops at Oak and Pearl.
So there's no traffic study for that.
There's
Like-
no traffic study. The traffic study
Like
is
we
30
have to
mile
have
an
a
hour
traffic
is
study for,
30 mile an hour through a business corridor is the speed limit per NDOT.
but they don't have to have a traffic study. But if we want for residential street, we have to have a traffic
We're
study.
negotiating hard based on all the feedback I'm getting from the business. So that's what the conversation is. So initially, their proposal was two-way stops at Pearl and Columbia, and Columbia Street doesn't stop.
That'd be a nightmare.
Hell
So-
yeah.
It'd be a drag strip.
Yeah.
They don't like the idea of stopping state highways. They just don't.
Well,
So
Well, they put in interstates.
they'll like it better when somebody gets hurt, because somebody would get hurt.
Yeah.
So
And somebody might die.
they're proposing four-way stops for 6 months to evaluate what happens. They're working on getting us 2 oversized signs that will flash and are solar powered at state line, and they're going to be discussing reducing the speed limit through Union City.
Yeah. Because basically, Winchester's residential is 20 miles an hour.
It is not in their residential, it's 30, because they spun around and they looked at their signs. While we were in the
I don't know. I'm over
Well,
there all the
Washington
time,
Street
and
Now,
it's
in their
courthouse is
business
20.
district, at about the bridge, it does change to 20. He argued with me that it did, and I said, no, it changes to 20 mile an hour at the bridge going into downtown.
It does.
And he spun around on his map program on his computer, and he could see the NDOT stamp on the 20 mile an hour sign. He said, I apologize, it should be 30.
there's more than that, just that in there that's 20 miles an
Well,
hour.
if it's off the state highway, that's
That's what I'm talking about, residential. I'm not talking about
Yeah, if
Going
it's
through
off
town.
the state
Yeah.
highway, that's up to the municipality.
One of
And-
the things,
Greenville's 25. They're residential, you know.
one of the things that may be in Winchester, those speed limits might have been set 50 years ago,
No, I'm
40
sure they-
years ago.
I'm sure they probably
Before the
were.
rules were in place. It's just like, one of my questions, for example, if we had an NDOT representative here, one of my questions is I'd like to know, just, I'm just not accusatory, but, so, when was the 10,000 threshold established? How old of a threshold is, or a rule is that?
Correct.
Because obviously, we've not, this is the first time we're having, I know that's been questioned a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's the first time we're having a hard and fast discussion about it, the traffic count number like
It
that.
seems like we have that
And-
many
and,
tractor trailers coming
Of course,
through
a
every
couple,
day.
and I've got a couple other points that I would question too, is one, what's your, are you differentiating tractor trailers? And
Right.
also, are you viewing the traffic count as the fact that 75 or more % of the traffic is on Columbia Street, Pearl and Oak are not, so you have a situation with the four-way stop, you're stopping Columbia Street twice in that. If you go to the two-way stop, you're gonna get people hurt,
Right.
both pedestrians and drivers, because the vision in downtown, it was never set up, the downtown layout was never set up for these rules.
Right.
And that's one of the things I'd say, is that, okay, so if we're gonna change the rules, are you gonna completely redesign our downtown, and we gotta recreate the whole scenario to some up-to-date situation?
Yeah.
Because and you're not.
I think it's congested enough the way it is with the angle parking on one
Yeah.
side. If there's
So-
big trucks let's say, a dual cab pickup truck, it's sticking out where you have to stop to allow, the oncoming traffic
You know,
to
we
go
have
by before
We
you
have
can
a unique
proceed.
situation in this town. We have 5 state highways entering this town,
Right.
but you cannot enter and leave on the same road. You cannot enter Union City and leave on the same road unless you make a U-turn.
True.
Because all the highways end here.
They dead end.
They all end, all
Yeah.
dead end or all begin,
Yeah.
in whichever way you want to look
Yeah.
at it, from Indiana and Ohio. So we're definitely a unique town.
I
So
agree.
now,
I agree about
and
that.
I don't, Steve may have more to offer, but I'll derail this a little bit from the standpoint, the discussion we had earlier in the day was that we're given this scenario of doing this 6-month study, and basically we really don't have a choice.
Right.
Because if we reject it, then they're just gonna default to what their viewpoint is of what we need to do, and in 2027, we're gonna be at their will. If we accept it, at least we have a chance at seeing what the numbers show.
Right. I agree with you. When were they going to start the 6-month trial?
He wanted me to present it. First of all, did you guys, I need to know, because he asked for everybody's emails to send y'all calendar invites for that 14th meeting. And because nobody showed up other than Mark and myself, and
I didn't get one.
I don't know.
if you did not get a calendar invite, I'll bring him back in and you guys can talk to him.
Well, yeah,
He doesn't want to do anything after working hours because that's a violation from the state, but it'll have to be during the day. But he wants to come in and introduce himself. He is the new traffic engineer for the Greenfield Post of NDOT.
Yeah, I didn't.
And
I
I
don't
was,
recall
I
seeing
was
that.
absolutely speechless when he sent an email wanting to meet with all of us, because that's never happened from NDOT. So it's probably been 2 years that the first conversations we heard about with removing the traffic lights. So I'm saying the 10,000 number is somewhere in that 2 to 3 years old range.
I would like, as I mentioned on the paper, I would actually like to see that. I would like to see what in the paperwork, where they list that. I would also like to know, when did the city originally, what was the agreement the city did when we put the streetlights in? There was probably some agreement that we had with.
I can ask, but my guess is they just did it.
But if we did have an agreement, yeah, if they just did it, but if we had an agreement, then there might be something in that original agreement that,
Had to be quite a while ago.
yeah, it would be, but maybe that would be in our favor
Yeah.
because it's a long time ago. The pedestrian thing to me is that's not even being considered in this. They're talking about cars, they're talking about traffic, they're not talking about, as I mentioned on here, all the people. You're not gonna have your walk and don't walk things anymore because that's all part of the stoplight, so that's gonna be gone. So, if I'm up at the intersection and I've got, let's say Joe Lyons that walks, so let's say Joe's up there, he's gotta be at the mercy of whatever car decides to wait long enough for him to go. Otherwise, he's just gonna wait for cars to go back and through all and then we've got Vision Corner, who's busing children in, and we've got extras from there. I mean, this, to me, I am adamantly against this, not that it makes any difference whatsoever, but, yeah.
Good points,
So,
though.
I would
Well,
love to
good
meet with the
points,
guy,
yeah.
because I don't remember.
And that's a good point, because in there, I'll make the observation from, I get to observe the 4-way stop at Chestnut and Columbia all the time. And the pedestrian issue, and sometimes I'm a pedestrian, the pedestrian issue is a problem, because you have a lot of truck traffic, you have, that for Union City, it's a busy intersection. And if we don't have as much pedestrian traffic at that intersection as you will either Pearl or Oak Street.
Right.
And that can be, and the other thing that plays into this is the hill, basically the elevation change from the railroad tracks to Oak Street is pretty dramatic.
Right.
And so the line of sight vision is not good in some places.
Does he actually come up and actually visually watch and sit and watch for a while, or he's just going by?
And Mark was very aggressive with him, Doc said, well, you probably haven't done the traffic counts in the fall, because when grain trucks are coming in,
Yeah.
and he absolutely has done because it's about 700-800 vehicles different in the fall compared to
Yeah.
spring.
I believe that.
So they have done their due diligence. They spit the numbers right out. They have the data, and whether we believe it or not, what I'm here to ask for is the council's permission to do their study. We have a couple years to argue this point with them because nothing happens to 2027's budget cycle. So I think it's in our best interest to play along and then leverage something out of it if it benefits us as a group.
And could you still schedule something?
Absolutely. I'll bring him in. He wants to meet with you guys.
Yeah.
He just can't do it after business hours because that's overtime.
The other thing I'll bring up, just for the sake of, cameras, I guess, is the fact that Union City is growing. Our downtown is growing, and when you take the stoplights out, I think it's gonna be a psychological thing that the town is not. And it's gonna stifle that growth,
Yeah.
and that's a big concern.
I agree with that too, 100%.
So, yeah, I know,
You know, and every single thing you guys have brought up is very valid. Okay, 100%. But what I want you to keep in mind is Carmel is doing away with traffic lights. Troy just removed all traffic lights out of their downtown. Bigger communities are doing away with them. So it doesn't necessarily, and I'm just talking for the other side of the conversation. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It's how it's managed within the community. So it's other communities are doing.
We don't have
away with traffic lights.
we don't have room for roundabouts.
So we're gonna put roundabouts. So we're gonna put roundabouts in
That-
like they have?
That's what I would say, that we don't have room for that.
No doubt about that. We have to move some buildings.
You want some real fun?
Bring it up.
Drive
Okay.
across 96th Street, pulling a trailer through all the roundabouts. It's fun.
I've been down to that
I've
one,
done it a few
Noblesville and all that, across 69 and all that, so it's full of roundabouts.
So we got a couple comments over here that places like Carmel, right? They're doing away with their stoplights, but they have roundabouts.
Well, yeah.
Not at every intersection, but at a lot of them.
A lot of them, yeah.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we reach back out to him and get the meeting scheduled and tell them that they are considering approval of the study, but would like to meet with him because they did not receive the invites as correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I
Okay.
think if you're with the timing, I think we've got time.
I just
time
want to
for that.
clarify too, Steve, so the way I was, and I just probably read into it myself, when they do the study, then they make the decision. I figured that they would be removing the stoplights right then. They're gonna wait.
They're not gonna take the traffic lights out now, they're just gonna shut them off.
Right, but till 2020, even if they say, okay, we're not gonna have stoplights, they will not take them out until 2027?
That's my understanding, that there's no reason to take them out until it's time to upfit them.
Okay. But they could keep them turned off, I suppose.
I don't think they're trying to be adversarial. I think they're just trying to make sure they're doing their due diligence on the budget side. And if they can, I mean, in 2024, they're estimating it's 500,000. In 2027, is it 600? Is it 700? I don't know what it'll be in 2 more years or 3 more years. And they're trying to be fiscally responsible. And they've identified this as a potential cost.
In all fairness, if we were on the hook for the $500,000 or $600,000, we'd probably have a little bit different conversation.
That brings something kind of interesting to light in the way that this is written, is that if the experiment proves successful, the city could save significant funds by not needing to upgrade the signal.
I don't know how that's possible.
And I'm not really sure how that is.
Yeah.
Are they insinuating that if we want to keep the signals, we're going to have to pay the $500,000? I don't know that was the motivation.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
But-
That's something to ask too, though, if you can.
All right. Well,
Well,
let's go ahead and we'll get something scheduled and we can. continue
And
this.
In other words, we don't approve.
And I, well, not.
Well, it's in deliberation.
I, just to add to your, talking about traffic circles, I ran into a traffic jam in a traffic circle here recently in Indianapolis.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
You can still get stopped.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Waited in line for quite a while. to get
Yeah,
to the circle, because
absolutely.
there's too
Absolutely.
many cars.
Yep.
When you overflow those, they do the same thing with traffic.
I've encountered that as well. Absolutely.
And then some people just roll around those things with reckless abandon. I can't believe the way they'll sail around and not even look, because they have the right of way.
Yep.
But
Doesn't mean you stop
I
paying
look.
attention.
I'm sorry, I look, because I still don't want to get hit.
Yeah, amen. The last item on the agenda is the nepotism forms. This is basically just a heads up that the forms will be passed out and need to be signed and returned at the December 9th meeting. So,
I signed and returned mine, so we're
yeah,
Already done.
ditto,
Yeah.
ditto. So, good deal. Awesome. All right. Any visitors wishing to address the board or the council, please stand, state your name and address and nature of business.
My name is Tracy Melcher, and how much am I supposed to say? I get nervous.
Just address is fine. No, you're
Address,
fine.
I live at 902 Olive Avenue in the trailer park, and this is why I'm here. I tried to do a petition a few years ago because our speed limit out there is ridiculous. It was 30 miles an hour, 30 or 35, I forget. I've been out there for almost 7 years now. But I got signatures and stuff, and I didn't have to come to a meeting. We got lowered to 20. But do they go 20? They do not go 20. We have a lot of people that like to drink and drive out there, which, you know, does not matter race, which we can go into that, but we're not going to go into that because a lot of people do that. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting nervous. I had notes and I ended up having to work tonight, so they're somewhere else. So I did a petition. I started it about a month ago, which I started another job, so it was kind of hard for me to get out there and get signatures. I've got 7 pages of signatures so far. There's 16 on each page. It's 116, I think I have altogether. I thought I had to have 250, which I can get it. It's just I work so much I cannot get them. What I'm trying to do is, I had a map and everything, but like I said, I lost it. I am trying to get the safety of the children. We do not have enough stop signs. And we were told, like, oh, we can't get the stop signs because the city owns the streets. But the people own it, the land over there in the trailer park. But I'm like, if the city owns them, then why can't they give us more stop signs? Oh, and the lady that is managing it right now, she said she had a conflict with somebody else at somewhere between the city building and whoever, I don't know. I'm like, well, that should not matter. Our safety of our children should be number one. I'm a preschool teacher, and we have 5 buses. I don't know if you guys are aware. There's 5 buses from our school that comes out just to that trailer park. There's so many children out there. They had to have 2 buses. We have one of our I forget. There's a white bus that goes out there. There's a migrant school bus that goes out there. There is our preschool bus that goes out there also. That's 5 buses that goes out there. We need more stop signs. I had a map. Like I said, I did not have it, but we need at least 5 more stop signs out there. I was personally going to buy them myself, at least 2 of them, by my house and by this bus stop where that needs to be. Because when the people come in, I have a map on my phone. When you come into the trailer park, you have this whole way. When you come into the left, all the way around the whole trailer park, there is no stop signs. When you come into the right, yeah, there's a stop sign right there because there's another street coming this way. It's Moss. But then all the way around that way, there's no stop sign the whole way. Right where the bus stop is at, there is a stop sign where the mailboxes are. But when they come in, there's no stop sign. These people fly by, these kids are getting on and off the bus, and these kids get on and off the bus, and they just keep flying. They do not even stop. They don't care. And
even when the bus has the thingy on.
Yes.
That's a
Because
fight.
they're coming from because the bus is right here. If people are coming in this way, they do not stop. And these kids, there's so many kids out there. There's so many kids. There has to be 2 full buses that come out there and get our kids in the morning and drop them off. Not including, our preschool. We have so many children out there. And not just that, we have elderlies that are out there. And they are afraid. There's one lady that lives on the corner when you come into the right, and there's a stop sign. And on the right, her name is, I think it's Judy Walker. She is afraid. She's almost got hit a couple times, living right there on the corner. I had got hit out there last year, January. It was the middle of the day. A drug guy came by and just came around that corner. I'm on my side. He T-bones me right there. And he's drunk, slurring his words, couldn't even understand him. I speak Spanish, you can talk to me, it's okay. You know, no. He took off and jumped into somebody else's house, got attacked by his dog, by their dog. And I mean, like, there's just so much going on in this trailer park that it's, number one thing, we need the stop signs. Because in the summertime, there's nothing for these children to do. So they're going to be in the road riding their bikes. You know, I mean, they have it here in town. Kids are on their bikes. There's nothing for these children to do. Yes, that's on the trailer park. Our rent keeps going up, There's nothing they're doing for us. Somebody has to step in and have safety for these children. You know, if we can't get playground equipment, whatever, you know, get some stop signs. You know, main thing is stop signs for these children. Summertime, wintertime, it doesn't matter. Because, I mean, there's a kid that got hit in front of my house when I first moved out there. The guy wasn't going very fast, but he got hit. And there was 2 more incidents from what I was told. There was 2 more incidents that children got hit out there. This is within years. But I mean, with these people out there drinking and driving on a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting ready to go to church, and these people are out there just drinking beer bottles all over the place. You know, like, and they're driving. They need to take off driving. And one time, I'm sitting outside with my children because we live on the corner, and that's one of the places I want to stop sign. These people are so smart aleck. Like, I'm sitting there, and we're yelling, slow down! And they just even faster. And one time they were at the stop, they were coming down from the end, coming down to where my house is at, where the stop sign on my side is. And they were coming down so fast, and me and my friend were sitting out there, we get up and we say, hey, you need to slow down. And the guy was like, oh, and we told him in Spanish, you need to slow down. And then the next thing is, okay. And he turned the corner, like took off like a bat out of heck, you know? But at least 5 stop signs. And the lady I was talking to, she wants speed bumps. And I'm like, the city already said, you know, because they come and they clean our roads. Speed bumps. I'm like, well, what about the ones the rubbers? We can just take them out. You know, I even offered to buy rubber ones in front of my house because how they come flying around that corner because they have all the way from the entrance, come flying around there. And they come close to the curb because when they're on the corner, they come right around that curb. If my kids are there playing, they're going to be done. I always put one of those little yellow guys out there and put them there. And they get mad about that, but I have to have my children's safety, you know?
Yep.
But, yeah, that's what but I have signatures, and I can get more. I have bus drivers that signed it. They were okay with it, you know, for more stop signs. And if they wanted speed bumps, you know. But if you guys don't want speed bumps, that's fine. We just need more safety out there, more stop signs. And I was, if you guys don't want to put them in, you guys just want to give it the stop signs, me and the manager, she said that we will put them in ourselves. We'll buy the other stuff to put in there if that's a problem, you know. But we need stop signs because it's done, you know. We can't no more. I mean, I'm afraid something else is going to happen, you know, something bad.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You don't need more signatures.
Okay.
What I need to check is what our scope is, and get with Brad and kind of see what we think would be most appropriate.
So, like you have a big loop that goes around the outside edge. You got the 3 streets that go across. So I presume the streets, when they go into the loop, there's stop signs there. Like if you're on one of the side streets or on the cross streets.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
the
the
street.
cross
So
Yes,
when you
yes.
come up to the loop, I presume there's a stop sign there.
It's the loop though that has those stop
There's
signs.
no loop, yeah, the loop
So
doesn't have no stop sign.
basically, she's
So you're wanting one of the stop, at each
Yeah.
one of the
Not
places.
exactly.
create an all-way stop at those.
Right. At least intermittent intersections, so it's not a drag strip circle.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Because I know when you first come in, there's that street. I don't know if it's Moss Line. No.
Is this like you're talking like a stop sign here, and here?
Not exactly. Okay, so right here, because this is where the bus comes. Right here on this side, they pick them up right here at the mailboxes, and then you can have that's a little area, but as long as right here, because I live right there, because they come in all the way from here, all the way around here, they come flying out.
So 2 on that side.
Yeah, and I figured because they come in from all the way here, say that they're here, they're coming from all the way around here. Why can't we have one at least here on the opposite side of Olive? Like here's Olive, one on my side and one on the opposite side.
Could you take a screenshot of that and then mark the spots you're talking about and send it to me? It'll let you
Yeah.
edit the picture.
Yeah.
Thank you. And send that to me, and then I will
And
forward
like
it.
where that curve is, when you come in, like you come into the right, there's that stop sign. But then when you turn to the right after that, from that stop sign, around that curve where Judy walked, there's no stop sign, and that's where there's accidents that come to happen because they're going, and it's so narrow. And then we have people that live there that park like they do. It's hard to see. So if you stop, you can still look, and you won't get hit. Or the lady won't have to be afraid to go out of her house, walk to her car. I mean, it's not just young children; it's elderly.
Right.
So that's an issue that I have been concerned about for a few years, and I've come up at least once in the past. I don't think it, like maybe three years ago or something. I was, and I am a fan of speed bumps, but everybody else isn't. But in any case, that's one where like go over there and look, people. I mean, they're children. They play in the street. And it's scary because they ride their bikes, and
Yep.
Yeah, if we can't do speed bumps because of the city and them cleaning the roads, that's fine. But we had the rubber ones, like you were talking about. But then someone said, well, you had to, you take them out in the winter. Yeah, I'm down for that. But then they said the holes, like you can keep continuing. But can't you like cement them back again? Like, I don't know.
Teresa, thank you
I'd
so
like
much.
to add to her dilemma, add and support
Yeah.
your I have a friend that lives out there that's severely handicapped. His only mode of transportation is a wheelchair, and that person feels like they cannot get out and go anywhere off of his property. So he is stuck on on the lawn part of his, because of the traffic thing. And I pull up there and we chit-chat and things on the golf cart, and he's always scared to death that I'm going to get hit on my golf cart because of, and I've been there many, many, many times, and the traffic, you are so correct, is horrendous. I mean, it's not that there's a lot of it, but it is just...
And they fly.
They just fly, and they pay no attention whatsoever, and so many children down there.
I know who you're talking about. He's such a sweet guy. He's really nice. And it's sad that they can't even get out there. My kids, I tell my kids, you have to stay in the yard. We have cameras all around my house, so I know if you're going to get up, I'll know, and someone told me to bring some of the videos. I'm like, I ain't got time. Like, I'm supposed to spend 10 minutes. I'm here an hour. But I have video of how they're speed out there. I have video of how they smart aleck and go flying through there, around the corners.
I think another thing that we can do, but aside from the stop signs, I'm sure we can mobilize. I don't decide that. But what would be the times of the day or the days or the parts of the week that would have the worst problem? We can get a police officer.
I've already asked for more patrol out there, and that's you just need to hide somewhere because they know, or they just I don't know. I've asked, for more patrol out there.
Well, but when?
Weekends. You're from your Thursday to your Sunday.
Okay.
But I mean, during the week in the summertime, it's bad too. But your weekends is the worst. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if it's 9 o'clock.
Any time of the day on the weekend.
And you can drive out there and you can just see them just out there drinking as much as they want, like fishes, and they just drive. And we call in if it doesn't matter. There's just not gonna. How many people has run into the trees out there, right where you're talking about? They run into the trees and leave their vehicles. Because they're driving around all that from my street. I think it's Emerald is what it's called, because I live on Olive, and Emerald runs this way, and they have all that roundabout to drive, and they come from there and they fly there, and they're drinking and driving 3-4 o'clock in the morning, hit the tree, leave the truck there. That's happened 2 times this year.
Goodness gracious. Okay. Teresa, thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. No, you're fine. You're fine.
The kids are like, all these kids that live out there, 5 buses from our school alone. That's,
Absolutely.
something has to be done.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other visitors wishing to address council? If not, our next council meeting will be Monday, December 9th, and that's at 6 p.m. And the Board of Public Works meeting will be also Monday, December 9th, and that's at 1:45 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
The first with a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned. Yeah, Teresa, don't